Good day and welcome back to the Family Cyber Clinic. It is exactly noon. So if you are here, it means that you have planned all month to be with us. We're grateful to have you on board, and I'm grateful that you've taken time out of a busy Saturday and a distracting Saturday for that, with all that is happening around us. I'm grateful that we can still do this. Some will argue it's a necessary distraction. It's one that we need to get our minds away. We're not shying away from the reality of what's around us, but inputting and investing time in the lives of our young ones, in my humble view, is not time wasted. It's still a good investment. And I'm praying that whilst you're with us, whilst you've passed by and dropped in to say hi, that you'll pick up something, you learn something and run with it. I am so excited about what we have in store. I know when I say that it seems cliche, it seems like it's convenient, but I am really, really happy to have these wonderful people who join us every month and share their experiences in different spheres of life. And the idea is so that whatever it is they're doing will bless you, okay? Improve you, make you a better you. And whilst all that's happening, that we're keeping our young ones safe. Now, if you're online, and I can see a few people are already online, you may want to tell someone else to come join. And I've sent a link to you. I hope that link is still quite live. And I'll do that on my own side too, just to make sure. People need a lot of reminding. And today is no different. And because I want everyone to attend this and really, really enjoy what we're doing, I feel that I have to push it even further. So I am sending it to all my live platforms, social media platforms. So I'm just gonna do that now. Start today. The joy of life communication. Live Q&A today has started. Share with friends and family. Okay. All right. I think that should do. So whatever it is, if you pick this one up, please share it with those who are connected to you. See, the numbers are now going up. I want you to be a part of this wonderful thing that we're doing. Okay. All right. So we do this every month. If you're just dropping by, we have a live Q&A every last Saturday of the month at noon, where we give you an opportunity. If you're a member of the community, beautiful. If you're just dropping by, we just give everyone an opportunity to ask questions or listen into a Q&A with people who are on the same journey as you are. A father, a caretaker, even a babysitter who wants to level up so that they can be of the best use to the young ones under their care. And that's all that we're about. We just want to do that. And this month, we have a special guest, and I've known him for quite a while, and you're going to know him too. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's a lover of God, and he has a lot of things that he wants to share to some of you. And I really sincerely pray that you will pick out, you listen carefully. I hope I'm not putting him under pressure. You listen carefully to what he has to say. I'm going to do the questioning. He's going to do the answering. And then we'll be looking at the chats from time to time to see if there are relevant questions or pertinent questions that need to be addressed even whilst we're engaging. The idea is engagement. I'm repeating what I said earlier. Please share this with your friends and family so that they can also be engaged. Okay? So without further ado, I would love to invite Our guest for this month's live Q&A, brother, we had an issue with this, brother Smith Alamu. I'm just going to bring him to the broadcast now. Smith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well, Brother Lawrence. Again, thank you for bringing me on today and this month. It's a great pleasure. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you more. Thank you for honoring this invite. I know that you're a busy man, and I don't take that for granted that you have spared us an hour of your time. It's a lot more than that because people don't know behind the scenes there's a lot of engagement and all that, but you have spared me
Yeah.
a lot of your time, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. The community applauds you and welcomes you on board. Okay, so we always start our engagements by a little introduction. We will want, I certainly will want the community to know who you are, what you're about, and as you can see on the screen, we want you to let the community know a little about your internet journey. So you can take it away.
Okay, thank you so much once again for bringing me on today. It's a privilege to share my internet journey and a little about myself. Like you rightly said during your introduction, my name is Smith Alamu, and I am a food scientist by profession. However, I turned a packaging specialist, or what you call in today's world packaging development manager. I've been working in the food manufacturing sector for the past 17 years. Um, I would say I'm an accidental packaging technologist because I set out to become a food manufacturing manager or a food production technologist. But as God would have it, I was drafted into the packaging department of Nestle in Nigeria way back in 2005. And since then, I've loved the profession and I've developed myself in it. And I've found myself, moving from one position to the other and from one organization to the other. So that is a little about my career development. But as a person with internet journey and experience, I would say that my internet journey started way back in 1998, I would say. But prior to that, of course, we've had very short, stints with the internet. But practically, in terms of when I actually began full time, exploring the internet, that was way back in 1998 when we would just go to the cyber cafes just to browse. Way back in Nigeria, you'd have to pay maybe, I don't know, I think about 50 naira then to browse for 30 minutes. And before you know it, before you even compose an email, because the internet was so slow and so, at the time, the speed was so slow. By the time you would send one or two emails, your time is gone. So you'd have to go and find another 50 naira or 100 naira to pay for internet activities. So, but again, that was the time that my eyes were opened to the vast opportunities that are available on the internet. In terms of, you just found the news websites, you find football. I love football, and then you find football team websites. You find a lot of other information with regards to how to even send emails, how to compose so many things, and even essays, articles, newsworthy articles, a lot of it. But at the same time, I also found out that it was then that there was a lot of danger as well on the internet because you would some things would just crop up, and at that time there wasn't a lot of attention being paid to safety on the internet. Anything could just pop up whilst you're browsing. So it was at that time that I realized that whilst this is a minefield, it's also you could also have a pitfall, and that was when I began to put measures in place for my own personal safety and accountability to myself and those around me, that I needed to be careful what I do and what I don't do on the internet. But in summary, for me, the internet journey has been quite one of a rewarding experience in terms of the benefits that I have derived from access and accessing the internet. It's been quite immense. I mean, not just for my career development, but also spiritual development, because some of the resources that you wouldn't even find, on in physical or hard copy books, it just takes a little while to go on the internet, do some searching, do some browsing, and this information becomes readily available. I mean, you can even, request for some of the information from those who have already done certain research, or done some work in the past. So it's been quite a useful adventure and a journey. And I think, in my own estimation, the internet is brought more of progress, development to my personal life, and especially with where I am today. I think I was sharing with you, Brother Lawrence, earlier, that even getting to the UK, coming into the UK, is part of the process of the internet. What I have enjoyed from the internet, the process of applying for immigration visa and everything is on the UK government website. You don't even have to pay a dime to anybody. You just go on there, access it, download what you need, fill out the forms, submit. That was way back in 2007. So it's all loaded on there. You just need to access the information and do the needful, and then you are home and dry. So I would stop it at that. I don't know if there will be any question on that, but by and large, for me, the internet journey has been quite rewarding.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Interestingly, I obviously came over, well, not obviously, but I came over slightly earlier than you, and the internet was not a thing at
Yeah.
all. If it was, I was not aware of it, and I know many people, many of our young ones, will find it very difficult to imagine a world without the internet. But believe me, that was our world. And I know that you may touch on this later on, because we had to create our own fun. We had to do our own thing. We there were no shortcuts. If you had to go to Lagos, you had to go to Lagos. You had to drive, and thank God that you didn't have to apply for a visa by traveling. You could do it in your own country. So it wasn't as horrible. But I know that the internet has a place. We don't talk so much about the benefits. And I've determined, at least we're determined on the platform, to start talking about the benefits of the internet, so that people are not put off the internet, because it does provide a lot. And we just want a situation where, whilst we're engaging and enjoying those benefits, that we're not falling foul to those who are prying, who are just out there to eat up our young ones. We'll go back to, well, rather, we'll go to our second question. But thank you for that. That's, I was going to say introduction, but it wasn't. But thank you for that perspective you've given. Most of us who are here now will,
Yeah.
at the back of our minds, be thinking of how it is, to not have internet, or how it is to have internet and use it effectively. We have a question, question two, and I think you said this at the beginning, or I may have said it. You're a husband, and that can't be belittled, and you're also a father. We
Mhm.
talk about fathers, we talk about the place of mothers. I want you to
Yeah.
let our community know how those roles, the fact that you're a dad, the fact that you're a husband, how those two roles help you shade your kids on the internet as they engage.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. That I think that is very, very important for our audience, and I'm certain that a number of people that are listening now, or that may listen later in the future, to this broadcast, would appreciate the fact that, as a husband and as a father, these are two very important roles in the life of any grown-up married man, or even a woman. So, as a husband, of course, I have a responsibility to my wife, to be there for my wife. She has her needs, which I need to meet. and I also have needs which she tries as much as possible to meet. But jointly as a couple, shortly before we got married, or before we got married during our courtship, we had a vision for ourselves as a family that we want our home to be a home that acts as a role model to those who are coming behind us, and perhaps also as a role model to those who may have gone ahead of us but may be struggling with certain areas. So let me just clarify that we have not been through the journey before at the time before we got married. So we were trusting God to help us live a life that would be a role model, or that would shine the light to others, either behind us, those who are our peers, or those who are ahead of us. So we had that very clearly. We had that vision that our home would be an example, a shining light. So now, when children started coming up into the journey, of course,
As they
as with
do.
as with every family, they also come with their own challenges, of course. So, as I mean, when they were babies, yes, there was no issue because they had no access to the internet. But as they went to school, and then, of course, had to come home, oh, we've got to do this assignment online, and I need access to the internet. Of course, we very fully aware that there are dangers and there are risks to just unlimited access for kids, for younger ones. We were very, very intentional about what we would like our children to access and what we would not like them to access. So one of the, of course, the things that we did was to, of course, look at the opportunities that are out there, or the features that are out there, the safety features. So we just didn't leave any of our devices open to any website. We strictly controlled our children's access to the internet. But that is not in itself the only thing that we did. We as a family, we do have a daily conversation with our children, just to make sure that they understand why certain things are allowed and why certain things are not. And all our engagements are based on the principles that we have learned from the scriptures. And I'm talking about the Bible here. So we, of course, make them aware of the dangers that are inherent in certain sites. Certain games may appear to be, not risky, or they may appear to be fun, but if you go in depth, you would find that those games are designed to actually influence children negatively. So one of the things that, and I will give this credit to my wife, one of the things that she would normally do would be to deep dive into any app or any game, and then she would do a bit of research, a bit of reviews and comments, and see how parents who have allowed their kids access to those games have what experiences they've had. And in that light, we found out that some of these games actually influence kids negatively. So we would, of course, we there was a game that we allowed our son Paul access to. We allowed him access to it, and we could see that when he's on this game, his behavioral levels, they just, I mean, his concentration level is very high on the game, but when you try to pull him off the game, then the behavior begins to, deep dive. It goes just right, to the bottom, because he's losing all the concentration, and he's not giving you that, the response that you're asking of him. So we decided that on that basis, any game, any app that would be allowed on our devices would be strictly vetted. Uh, it would be, we will either block access to those apps or websites, and that was the decision that we took. It was a bit tough. This was, I'm talking about 4 5 years ago now. It was a bit tough at the start, but of course the children got used to it, and they understood the reasons why certain things were not allowed. Now, I would also make mention that one of my kids' sons actually said to their parents that, "Oh, I don't like going to their house because anytime I go in there and I take my laptop or my iPad there, I cannot access certain sites because their Wi-Fi will not allow me." And I asked the boy, "So why do you want access to it?" This is a violent game. It doesn't, it doesn't do you any good, and you can see that it affects you. But at the end of the day, the boy eventually came back to say that, I think what you've done is right, because each time I am on this game, my behavior, my mommy says that my behavior is very poor, and that was something that I picked, and I said, and my son was listening, saying to him, "Look, can you see that it's not just you? It appears that this affects everybody that is allowed on this sort of access to these sites or these apps or these games." So we, as a family, we try with God's help to protect our kids from harmful um, stuffs that are out there on the internet. As a father, it's our responsibility. It's a responsibility that we've taken on to ensure that they have a limit to what, even the useful ones, the positive things, they are not just given unlimited access to it. So our devices at home have time when they open in the morning or in the evening, and they have times that they close. And even those periods, they have break times where the kids have to, if they are on it, they have to take a break. So they do know that they don't have 24 hours access to the internet, even for those positive things. So everything has to be done at certain times. So if you have missed your time, I'm sorry, that is it. You wait till the next time, so you know when to use it. So if you waste your time doing other stuffs, and you ask for more time, it depends on the circumstance. Then we would have to review it and say, okay, you see that I'm going to monitor what you are going to do. I'll make sure that you don't want me right behind your shoulder doing what you have to do, but you need to do the right thing at the right time. So we always ensure that they are not just unnecessarily hooked up to the devices. And we also have family timeout, where we try to take a walk, we try to either go on a bike ride. This sometimes can be very, very painful for them at the start, because they might, "Oh no, we don't want to go, we don't want to go." But at the end of the day, by the time we have taken a walk out, and they don't want to come back home because it's fun. It's fun, out there. So it's not just, just trying to protect them from the internet. It's also about taking them, on a journey to see the outside world, take fresh air, calm down, have a relaxing time. We sit, we live in an estate where there is enough to see around. So we also use that opportunity. But by the time they get back home, they're like, okay, they're tired. But the other things we do, not just to get them stuck onto devices, is I encourage them to read a lot, and my wife does that as well. We as a parent, our children's rooms are full of books, so they take time to read, and we also engage with question time and answer time, just like what we're doing now. We do have daily conversations that are guided, of course, by the scriptures, where we review a particular story, and we see how it affects our day-to-day lives and the lessons we can gain from that. So that is how we as a family have been moving on. And I must say that the other bit that I haven't mentioned is the fact that for every good behavior, there is a reward, and there are consequences for poor choices that children make sometimes. So with our children, we do, of course, acknowledge when they have done very well, and sometimes they are rewarded for good behaviors with it might be more time on their devices, if they've done very well, and if they have made poor choices, there are times that we just have to restrict their time, so as to make sure that they make better choices next time. I hope that helps.
Believe me, it does. I'm so grateful that you went that far. You covered so many things in the answer to that question about how you engage as a dad and as a husband. What came across, and I hope the people joining in will pick that up. What came sharply across was that it's not a one man's job. And I love the fact that there was that balance, mom and dad on the same page, pulling together for the same goal. Some may browse this on replay and think that we're hard on our kids, but all this, from what I'm sensing and what I do know, is from a place of love. You love these children, you love them so much to tell them the truth. And the fact that you are also hands on has allowed you identify telltale signs. We call them red flags. If a child is consumed and acting funny whilst playing a game, it needs to be called out and addressed squarely. I also know that under the protection of scripture and a place of sanity, you're able to think clearly. You're engaging them and allowing them to be a part of the solution. So those things rang through really into my bones, and I applaud you. Applaud all the parents on the platform who are attempting to do the same thing, because ultimately we want to guide and guard our young ones as they engage. The internet is now a thing. If you're just waking up from, I often say this, if you've woken up from a deep stupor, and then this is the world that we're in, the internet is here. In many places, it has displaced family time. I particularly love that you take a break. For those who are wondering how to do that, we've shared a lot of videos on the platform on how you can do that. Screen time, family life from Google. All these things help you plan the internet engagement for your kids. Parental controls. You are active. You are involved. And that is super, absolutely super. And we strongly recommend that approach. The fact that it's taken the two of you, husband and wife, to talk about it makes it even better. I'm proud of how, not that you need me to tell you that, but I'm so proud that you shared that with the community, because it is golden. Okay, so swiftly we go to question 3. And you can see on the screen, like I am, you're a youth church coordinator and a teacher. And that alone is a huge responsibility. And due to the pandemic, you've had to conduct most of your services remotely. And as I understand it, you do it via Teams. I want you to let the community know how you keep the kids under your care engaged primarily, but whilst being engaged, safe on the internet, from the internet rogues. Speak to that if you can for us.
Okay, thank you for that. So let me firstly quickly go around the safety aspect of it. One of the, of course, measures that we've adopted is using these sort of links to this platform, where you have shared a lot of safety measures that can be adopted for young ones, especially not just the youths, but also their parents, because most access to internet at home or on their mobile devices are still controlled by the parents. So we often, share with parents the tips that you have provided, and a lot of those. And I will also strongly recommend, for those who are listening in for the first time, to go into the Family Cyber Clinic, pages on YouTube, and you will see a lot of tips there on how to keep children safe from internet rogues. So that is one bit that we have done, and we do have a parent forum, like men's forum, women's forum within the church, where we circulate and share these links to those websites or to those YouTube pages, so that children are aware. But the other bit, like you rightly mentioned, during the pandemic, we of course moved all our meetings onto Teams. That's Microsoft Teams. But of course, access is only granted to those who are on the invite list. So if anybody is joining in and we don't know you, or your name is not clear, we just have to first pause and make sure that we haven't had any intruder into the meeting. So That is also one way we safeguard. But of course, at all our various meetings, this is a key topic. Making sure that kids or the youths are always aware of the dangers that are out there on the internet. So one of the ones that came up recently is, I'm not sure if you are aware, and for those who are listening to us, is this Tinder swindler story that came up on Netflix. My wife just called me like last week saying, "Oh, have you seen this story? Have you watched it?" And we started watching it, and we realized that youths and children need to be careful. We need to be very mindful, because if anybody has seen that story, or if you read the article, or you watched it on Netflix, you would discover that not everybody behind the screen that is chatting with you or talking with you is who they claim to be. So we just need to be mindful. If anything sounds too good to be true, firstly, and if it's like, oh, it's urgent, you must do it now, then take a pause, take a break,
Yeah.
speak to an adult, speak to your parents, or if you're an adult, speak to somebody else about it, share it. Don't ever keep it to yourself and say, oh no, it's very urgent, I need to act fast. Anything that requires do it now, you must be careful. And if somebody is asking you, can you share a nude photo of yourself, or a photo of a private part of yourself, please note immediately that that is unacceptable. That should not be, you should not consent to that. So
Yeah.
for us, as a youth group within the New Covenant Church Village, we engage with our youth on a bi-weekly basis via Teams, and we always ensure that we have relevant topics that our youth can relate with. Firstly, then we have a team of fantastic teachers within the group who also have various giftings in this area. Someone is an expert at presenting, making presentations with all forms of slides and various, things that everyone can relate with. Someone else, is an expert at planning. Someone else is an expert at, doing several other things. And we always ensure that our meetings are very interactive. We do not ask close questions. We try as much as possible to make all the questions and all the engagement very open. So we don't ask a question that youth can just say yes or no. So when we start our meetings, and I'll give you a typical example, we don't ask the how are you, just the how are you question, which is, the answer. How are you is the answer is fine. But I don't just want to know how are you. I want to know how did your week go? How did your day go? What were the highs and the lows? Was there any thing you would like to share with me within your day? Oh, this is how my day went. Sometimes when you start talking about how your day went with the youth on the call when we start, then they start remembering. Oh, yeah, I had a difficult time. So on one of our calls, um, I asked, "How are you?" and then, "How are you today?" and "How has your day been?" and the youth said, "Oh, very tiring." Oh, so what? Why was it very tiring? Oh, I've been busy packing up because I said, where are you? Why are you packing up? Oh, so yeah, we are relocating to Canada. Oh, wow. So that, it's about further questions,
Yeah.
engaging,
Pressing.
and that was where we realized that, oh yeah, the family is moving to Canada, and the lady has been joining us even when in Canada. So it's a function of how well we relate with them, how well we engage with them, to ensure that they are open and honest. So the other key bit is this: it's not enough to just organize a virtual engagement. It's also about developing personal relationships with the individuals. We as a youth group, we have split the youth amongst ourselves, and we try our best as much as possible to reach out to them individually. I try to make phone calls, and when you make phone calls with individuals and you start engaging, you start asking questions about their school, about their teachers, their friends. What subject do they find most difficult? Which one do they find so easy? And what are the challenges that they have? Those are the areas and what are their interests, their hobbies. I have, you won't believe it. Someone that other people felt that is an introvert. When I picked up the phone and I spoke with her, we spoke for about one. I had the record on my phone about 1 hour 30 minutes. we were speaking for 1 hour 30 minutes because it was in the process of engaging, that ordinarily she might not be the very open and extrovert type on the calls, but when I engage with that, on a one-to-one basis, I realized that she's got a lot to offer because until ask the right questions, and then you find their what their interest is. That was when I discovered that she has an interest in digital marketing, and then that she also has a lot of interest in design, and she was telling me about all the designs that she's done. I was like, oh wow, that means you have some potential to commercialize some of these things. And she said, well, she doesn't know how to. Okay, then these are the people you need to talk to, so those are the sort of things that we do within our group to ensure that we engage our youth, we keep them informed. But at the same time, of course, we always sound the warning note as to the dangers, the risk that sometimes may be very subtle, but they are there, and we just need to be mindful. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I get carried away because as you're answering the question, you're touching on all the things that either a comment, a question from those who are connected would address, and that's why I allow you full reign. But it is something. It is something, and I still want to emphasize that involvement, getting involved, getting stuck in. You cannot do this partially or loosely. It has to be all in, and this is where we want our parents and guardians. And you notice that I always say baby sitters. They have a place. Some of us go to work leaving our young ones with babysitters, and the people that our young ones spend the most time with will influence them. We call them nannies. We call them. It could be a daycare center. It could be in-house or external. Anyone who is spending time with your young ones, especially because you want to keep them engaged, you just give them a tablet. If you do anything on the internet, or you're exposing your child to the internet in any way or form, you must train the person who is acting as a substitute. If you're not there, then extend that authority or opportunity to the same person, rather the person who is going to be looking up over their shoulders. It must be consistent. I like the fact that you mentioned, maybe not in this question, but it just came to me that I think it was the question before this one, where a young one, actually the young one of a family friend, or
Family
can't remember
friend,
how.
yes.
Yeah,
Family friend.
feeling uncomfortable whenever they came to your house because you had your broadband locked down. I salute you, sir. having to having to do that is priceless. What we tend to see happen is people come to your house because they're visiting. They feel they're entitled to just log on to the internet. You don't know where their systems have been. You don't know where they've picked up the device, and you just plug it in to your internet.
Can I just add to that, brother
Yes,
Lawrence?
please.
Can I just add something to that? Because
Yes.
so just to make it very, let me make it a complete statement or complete package.
Yeah.
So when the young boy told his mom, I felt at the time, I felt a little bit sad that why would he say this right in the front of his mom, that I don't like going to their house, because their mom said, go to Paul's house or Smith, or go to their house and wait there for me until I come back. And he said, no, I don't like going there because I can't access this. And then, at that time you might feel, I said, but why do you? I said, we don't allow this. We don't allow access to certain sites in our house. That could have been the end. But about 3 months after that, and I'm being very factual here, about 3 months after that, I received a call or a WhatsApp message from the mom to say, Smith, how did you block this site? Can you share with me how you block this? Because
Wow.
I need to apply it now and right away. I said, are you desperate? She said, yes, I'm desperate. I need to do it now because this boy is getting into trouble every time he uses this game. And that then, I became so happy because, sometimes if you just hear something like that, the negative side of that, a child does not like coming to your house because of certain things. But I didn't move, I didn't change my stance because of that. I maintained my position and said, look, that is our house and that is what applies. But for the mom to now afterwards, call me or send me a message saying she needed my help to do the same thing that 3 months before then she didn't do, that
Yeah.
really was the icing on the cake for me. That means we were doing something right because
Correct.
it shows that if we stand for something and you don't budge, sooner or later people would understand and they will appreciate and come to you for help.
That's absolutely true, and I'm so glad that I allowed you extend on that because it's so important not to allow perception change the very good things that you're doing, especially as you're engaging with the kids on the internet. It's not going to be popular. I know
Yeah.
that I was not a popular parent when I introduced parental controls on my kids' systems long time ago. I was very unpopular, but I stuck with it. It was only when it became an inconvenience for me because they were now making it so difficult that every other day they came back, there was a new URL they wanted me to add to the list so that they could extend it. So that informed me that I needed to change my approach. But ultimately, people can't change the way you lead. The same way you will not allow someone tell you how to, teach your kids on other platforms or other issues should be the same way you stand firm concerning very, very important things like internet engagement. And so that's why I saluted you, because it takes a man, it takes someone who is willing to stock in or to stay in line to do that. So I appreciate you. I appreciate that answer particularly. We move swiftly. We're looking at the time. There are no comments, so we'll just fire on. But we have two more questions. I'm sure you're still good.
Yeah, good. Let's
Okay.
crack on.
All right. So we go to the next question, and it is: what would you say the internet has to offer churches with youth ministries?
Wow. That's there's a lot that the internet has to offer churches with youth ministry, and I would dare say that not just churches, even community centers, or anyone that is engaging with youths. For instance, our son and even our daughter, they attend what you call this. Our son is in Boy Scouts, and the daughter is in Beavers. So those are also youth forums where we try to get them to develop the community spirit. So, but for churches who and also other organizations that deal with youths, the internet is a veritable and viable source of disseminating information. For instance, I mean, WhatsApp groups are all over the place. Most of the links to some useful resources online uh, can be shared via WhatsApp group or even Telegram or what have you. Various types of forums that are out there and social media uh, outlets that can be used to disseminate useful information. For instance, within our youth group, whenever we come across any opportunity like scholarships for black and ethnic minority groups, or not just black, or any scholarship generally, the first way we can disseminate that to everyone is via our WhatsApp group. So for a church, if any new thing is coming up, I mean, if we have a new announcement or a development, the quickest way to disseminating such information these days, apart from when we meet in church, is via the internet, which is either we are broadcasting on YouTube, just like we are doing now, or we use all the other social media platforms. So that has really helped. For our youth, the other thing is it also helps us to engage with them, to keep in touch, especially for those who physically, for one reason or the other, they cannot be present. So it helps us to engage with them. So for instance, with the pandemic, and we have still continued to use our Teams meeting. So, but we do know that some of our youths are, they are scattered abroad. They are all over the place. Some of them physically cannot join, but
Yeah.
with the help of the internet or the help of technology, they are able to dial in, or they are able to tune in afterwards, or if it's recorded, they can still access it. So that is one other benefit. And the other thing is the fact that I have, this is personal experience. We had 1 year on interrupted, meeting over Teams. Every week, every other week, we met for the whole of 2021, and we started from late 2020, mid 2020, and you could see that people or the youths, and sometimes when we've invited parents, everyone is quite engaged because they found it useful. The contents are, and I'm sure as one of our resources who has also appeared on one of our Teams call, to help us with internet and what have you, and what we can derive from it and the dangers therein. We've also been a resource to us. So it has helped even where we have people in different places in their homes to engage with them. So there is a lot that the internet has to offer. And again, you would look, if you look at the fact that there are uh, you know tools or features on the internet that can be used to set the ball rolling, like icebreakers, breaking people into teams, into various rooms to carry out certain tasks. This has really been of tremendous help for me as a personal experience, and it has helped in engaging the youth. So again, all I would say is that churches that have not leveraged the opportunities, because sometimes people try to throw away the bath water with the baby when they feel that there is a danger there. They just focus on the negative, and don't try to leverage the opportunities that are there. Even with God, if we look at God, he placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and he didn't say because he wanted them to be safe, he removed the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He didn't remove it. He only gave them the warning that they shouldn't go near it. So we know that the dangers are there. And we're not going to say because of the danger, the goodness in the land should not be assessed. So there is goodness there, and we should just, try to have a balance. So that's what will be my response to that.
Wow, well spoken. I love that last bit. That's a beautiful perspective. It is so superly. It is just whoa. I had to soak it in. That was super way to end that answer. No, but yes, you are so right, so right. I want people. I hope people are paying attention to those things. It's not easy. It's not easy at all to get people, enthused about what good can come from the internet, and there's so much it offers. It's not all bad. There's a lot, and it's very clear from what you've said that you don't have any qualm sharing those benefits with people who care to listen. I know the kids can be so involved because that's what they know. They're always on their phones, and then now if you engage them and they're using their phones, you're halfway in. So I'm grateful that you shared that answer. I'm getting some spam coming in on our comments. Let me see if I can. Yeah. You see, even people are trying to mess our time here. I'll leave it. But ultimately, the approach to the internet is not all bad. We shouldn't feel that there's nothing good that can come from the internet. A lot of good comes from the internet. We're just making sure that as we who have a God-given, um, you know, responsibility over our young ones, that as we can see what they're doing, we must level up, skill up, so that we can shade them. That word again, shade, protect them as they do so. Our last question, and it is definitely going to be the last question because time is not our friend, would be basically last comments, so sort of last tips that you would like to give youths and adults alike regarding internet use. You've probably touched on it already, but what lasting comments can you leave with our audience?
Yes, thank you so much. With regards to the use of internet, my advice to youths and parents alike would be, firstly, to be rest assured that you have responsibility for yourself. Of course, you have youth leaders, you have parents, and you have either older ones to guide, but the sole responsibility for yourself still lies with you, because there will be times that there will be nobody next to you who would be looking over your shoulder. So it is up to you to make that choice. Sometimes we get carried away with the fact that it's just because daddy and mommy or my older siblings or teachers are watching over my shoulder, that's why I'm doing the right thing. The line that I always give to my kids is that don't just do it because daddy is there. Do it because you know it's the right thing to do, and that is what God wants you to do. And I always take a cue from the life of a gentleman, a young man in Joseph. Joseph in the scriptures, who had every opportunity to do the wrong thing when nobody was there, when nobody was looking, but he chose to do the right thing just because he did not want to sin against God, not because of Potiphar, his master's, his wife's, his master, but because he had the fear of God in him. So I would say that we must all develop to that level. Then, secondly, is that as parents, we cannot afford to leave anything to chance. We have to be intentional about what we want to achieve and what we want our children to have access to. We must take measures, we must take steps to protect them. I mean, I haven't done all. Yes, you will leave the rest to God. We leave the rest for them to make the right choice. But we have to take our responsibilities very seriously. The world we live in is very, 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 is a good world, but at the same time, we have some very bad people in the world who are always out there to lure the children. We've had stories of pedophiles, we've had stories of those who are just there to get them to do the wrong things. So we just need to be there for our children. Above all, I would say that we cannot fail to pray for our children, uh, and for the children themselves to pray for themselves. Because I am a firm believer in the power of prayer. That what I cannot achieve by doing all that I have done with regards to all the safety measures, with regards to all the being intentional, then God can do. If it becomes very, very tough, there is nothing impossible for God to do. So if there's anyone on this call or that has heard or that is struggling with certain areas, please, again, I would say, uh, pray as well. But again, seek professional help where you think that you can't do it by yourself. Because sometimes some of the measures that I've mentioned, we have apps on our phones that anytime my children require access to the internet, the first thing that comes is a request from them to my phone, which asks for time. And I will say, okay, you can have 1 hour or you can have 2 hours on the same phone. But if you don't know what to do, please seek help. The likes of, if you, like I said earlier, I would recommend the Family Cyber Clinic YouTube page for reference, or you can reach out to Pastor Lawrence if you need help, or even reach out to me if you have my contact details, because we can help to share some experiences and some of the tools that we have used to make sure that children are safe and that we ourselves are also safe, because we all need to be accountable to ourselves, and be accountable to somebody else to say, look, if it appears that I'm getting it wrong or I am struggling, can you check up on me to see where I am up to on this area? So those are some of the things I would say. And then for youth, please don't allow peer pressure to push you to doing the wrong things, because sometimes just because you want to feel among, you want to be counted in, you don't want to be ostracized, you don't want to stand for what you know is right because people will laugh at you or mock you. Please don't ever allow that to get you to influence you to doing what is wrong. Stay focused, be yourself, know what is right, know what God wants you to do, and go for it. That will be my last word. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Thank you very much, Smith. It's been a breeze. It's been a time. I've spent a lot more than this hour with you, and we know what we've touched on. And I should so appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. And I also join you in praying for the young ones. And, we can do all this. Ultimately, God is the one who will make the difference. So I'm glad that you've opened your heart. You've taken time this wonderful Saturday to share with the community. And we'll have you back. Maybe we'll have you back with someone under your tutorship, possibly not Paul, maybe someone from the youth church. We'll sit down in the same room and we can ask them what they've learned from, their engagement. I say that because people want to see, I don't know why, but somehow it tends to convince them when they actually see the young ones actually give feedback based on what we've just shared. But kudos to you. The work you're doing is beautiful. Long may it continue, and may the Lord bless you and keep you. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. We never like ending our broadcast without giving the community an opportunity, to be a part of this wonderful community. You can see that we're real. It's no gimmick. What you see is what you get. And I'm hoping that you will choose this platform as a place where you want to, spend time engaging, skilling up, leveling up, whatever it is you want. We have, and we've released easily close to 140 videos that cover something that you may be involved in. And so we want you to subscribe. We want you to like the content. Like it because it does something with the YouTube analytics, and gets this message or content to those who, like you, want the best for the kids. Okay? So tell your family, friends, tell them about this platform. Tell them there's somewhere that they can come and spend time. We share videos every week. And on the last Saturday like this one, we have a live Q&A, giving you an opportunity to ask questions, even though we didn't get any today, but ask questions that are important to you. So until next week, when we will continue the status quo, releasing videos and still engaging on trending issues, I've been your host, Lawrence Edem. Until then, God bless and goodbye.